pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to the flag of Michigan and to the state for which it stands, two beautiful peninsulas united by a bridge of steel, where equal opportunity and justice to all is our ideal.
Sandy, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Shippers?
Here.
Bowman?
Here.
Wolfile? Meinhardt?
Here.
Mayor Filkins?
Here. At this time, we'll look for an approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda unless there are any changes as presented.
I support.
Sandy, could we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Bowman?
Yes.
Wolfile? Meinhardt?
Yes.
Shippers?
Yes.
Mayor Filkins?
Yes. Motion carries. Okay, at this time, we'll open the floor for public comment. We do ask that if you come forward for comments, that you limit your time to 3 minutes, that you state your name, and that you write down your address for the clerk. Seeing no one, we'll close public comment and move on to the approval of the consent agenda. This evening we have the minutes from the regular meeting that was held on October 17th. We have the minutes from the closed session on October 17th, and then also the minutes from the special meeting that was held on October 24th.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Sandy, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Wolfile? Meinhardt?
Yes.
Shippers?
Yes?
Bowman?
Yes.
Mayor Filkins?
Yes. Motion carries. And that takes us to communications for this evening.
They were requested the closure of Lake Street between Harris and Cass from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. on November 26, 2016 for the Toys for Tots 5K. And this is the one that's sponsored by Toy Town.
Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion to approve the closure of Lake Street between Harris and Cass from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. on November 26, 2016 for the Toys for Tots 5K.
I'll support it.
Sandy, could we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Meinhardt?
Yes.
Shippers?
Yes?
Bowman?
Yes.
Wolfile? Mayor Filkins?
Yes. Motion carries. And this evening we have a couple of appointments. Yay.
This is being recommended to approve the appointment of Stephen Barnes Jr. to the Downtown Development Authority for a term expiring August 1st, 2019.
I took a look at his application. He looks like a good candidate. I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of Steve Barnes to the Downtown Development Authority for a term expiring August 1, 2019. Support.
Sandy, could we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Shippers?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Wolfile? Meinhardt?
Yes.
Mayor Filkins?
Yes, motion carries. And I am excited to see Steve get involved in local government because he lives here, he grew up here, he graduated from here, and he owns a business in Reed City, but now he's becoming involved in our community too, and that's great.
Being recommended to approve the appointment of Jeffrey Valentine to the Planning Commission for a term expiring April 21st, 2017.
I had a question about this one. Is this replacing whom on the planning committee?
David Van Lente.
So it's for, what do they call them, a ward? Are we wards or districts?
It's ward.
For my
ward.
For your ward.
Yep.
And Mr. Van Lente resigned because his job took him away for...
He was having problems with attendance, wasn't he?
Right.
Okay. Does anybody know Jeff Valentine?
Yes. Well, it's just a couple doors down from me. He's right there.
All right. Hi, Jeff.
How are you?
Welcome aboard.
Well, thank you.
And the application appeared that you were applying for a position with the ZBA, but you're willing to do planning commission, huh?
That was an older one. I did resubmit to Marcus my updated one last week, I believe.
Okay. Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
I would like to make a motion to approve the appointment of Jeffrey Valentine to the Planning Commission for a term expiring August 21st, 2017.
Support.
And that's to complete the term.
Yes. Sandy, could we have the roll call?
Councilmember Spelman.
Yes.
Wolfile. Meinhardt.
Yes.
Shippers.
Yes.
Mayor Phillips.
Yes. Motion carries. And now we're into the city manager's report for this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. First item is with respect to our health care coverage. Up until the agenda went out last week, the final determination regarding our renewal was basically not yet known. And so the item on the agenda was done as a placeholder item accordingly. After we had several meetings, or let me back up for just a second. About 4 to 6 weeks ago, when we were made aware of our renewal estimate, we decided to go out to the open marketplace to put a bid out for services to see where we are at. We received 2 bids. One was from our current provider, one was from a new provider, also offering a different carrier plan, a completely different design model as well. But we decided that we needed to explore different paths and different options accordingly. We went and met with the 2 carriers on several occasions, also had several phone call follow-ups as well, spent a lot of time trying to best determine how to proceed. The plans that were being compared were dramatically different from what we have versus what was being proposed from the other carrier that submitted information to us. At the end of the analysis, which went into the early evening on Friday, the determination was made to continue with the current type of plan design that we have. We've been able to carve out some significant areas of savings based upon what our utilization has been thus far. These are things that we can always add back in if we find that we need to. We also feel confident that we're able to continue on our own with at least one of those areas, which happens to be wellness. As Council may or may not know, we have an internal wellness committee that meets from time to time to put on wellness-related activities and events, and we feel confident that we're going to be able to continue to do that, even with separating that service from doing it with our provider as one of the cost-saving measures. The current carrier is 44 North. That's the council-authorized carrier that we have already, which is why this is simply advisory only, and there is no action that council needs to take tonight. The communication that we have left in front of your desks tonight is a mirror of what we had provided through email Friday early evening, and so I just wanted to make sure it was in a more formal template as well. If there are questions, myself, Todd Keyway, or Owen can hopefully address them.
Well, you started out by saying you were faced with, you didn't say it, but the communication did on Friday that we were faced with about a 25% increase. After we've gone through all this, what does that percentage look like now?
I don't know the percent. Oh, I don't know if you calculated that, but I know that we were able to shave off about $45,000 by going through the process that we went through, which was a significant reduction of what those costs were looking at. So, I don't know if you have
I think they put it under a little bit under 20.
When you're looking at just the base plan, not the HRA, it's about 4.1% savings off the 25.5, I believe is what the overall was when you took all three of our sectors together.
And we're still under the Public Act threshold as well, which I think is important to note. Is it
What does
PA
that
180?
80/20?
PA 152, yep, the hard cap provision.
So we're underneath the hard cap provision.
What does it mean?
If you are over the hard cap provision, that means that your employees need to contribute to
20%.
meet the 20% threshold, or you need to ask your legislative body to publicly opt out. So it creates that.
So we're under.
So we're under, correct.
So we're still looking at a 21% increase, it sounds like?
Yeah, I just want to point out too that our budget hit is a little bit different than that, and it's based on how union members and non-union members were rated differently, and we always budgeted for the higher number, and so the increase, the renewal percentage increase is a little bit higher than what the actual hit on our budget was. Now, cost-wise, we're absorbing all those increases, but it's not quite as big of a hit on our budget because of the way that we were already budgeting for the higher number in the past. So that softens the budgetary hit a bit, and as Marcus pointed out, we still are under the hard cap pretty comfortably, actually. So,
And all that being said as well, this process made us raise an eyebrow to the HSA model, and is something that I think we're going to take a look at over the course of the next year for future thought. It's not something that would have been really feasible to jump into at this moment. We do manage, as council very well knows, but more for public consumption, we do manage 4 collective bargaining agreements, all of which would be impacted by any significant, add, move, or change that we might make, and if not done in a specific manner, could result in grievances and issues that, frankly, not worth going down that path at this point. At least not trying to jump into it all at once.
And one of the things that I asked of Owen and Todd and Marcus was that, while we're seeing an increase from our current carrier, they went out and did their due diligence, which I appreciate because I know that it wasn't an easy task, but either direction we went, we were going to see an increase.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. The next item under the City Manager's report is a bid recommendation regarding the Aqua Disc equipment purchase. This is equipment that's used to filter the wastewater before it is discharged into the Clam River. Competitive bids were sent out. Only one was received back. In speaking with our Utilities Director, Jeff Dietland, he did explain that this is essentially sort of a sole source purchase. It's very specialized equipment. He is obviously comfortable in recommending that we move forward with Aqua Aerobic Systems, Inc. Out of Loves Park, Illinois, and the total amount of $27,461. Funds are available in the Water and Sewer Fund in this year's budget accordingly. If you have any specific questions on how this is used other than what I just mentioned, Jeff is here in the audience.
I'm having connectivity issues.
If it'll help also, the budget appropriation that we have is for $30,000, so it's slightly under budget.
And so this is just a normal replacement? Nothing is broken, it's a normal replacement over time?
Normal replacement, yeah. The cloth lasts for about 5 years. We've had 7 years now.
Okay.
So.
Okay, I'll make a motion to award the purchase of aqua disc equipment to Aqua Aerobic Systems, Inc. in the amount of $27,461.
I'll support.
Sandy, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Wolfow? Meinhardt?
Yes.
Shippers?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Mayor Folkins?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. This next purchase is for an atomic absorption spectrophotometer. Please don't ask me to say that 3 times in a row. This unit we received 3 bids for. The recommendation is to go to Perkin-Elmer Health Sciences, Inc. You'll notice that their bid is $775.58, which is actually higher than the other 2 bids, which are $40,635 and $37,895 respectively. Important to note, the reason why we're recommending going with the Perkin-Elmer machine is a couple of reasons. One, it's a machine that we currently have that has given us a lot of very useful life on it. Also, we have consumable parts and pieces to the machine already in stock from the unit that we're looking at replacing that will not be compatible with another unit, and we would like to be able to use those consumables. The value of that, coupled with the value of an extended warranty that the company is offering to us, is about $17,000, give or take, $17,500. And that's why the recommendation, when you factor that into the overall cost of the unit as compared to the other 2 bids, it technically would bring that down. But I know it's a big mouthful.
Yeah,
so.
you know, these are the kinds of decisions, presentations to council that are, to me, at least, it's difficult.
Abstract?
No, it's not abstract. I don't know if the intention of the bidding process is really being honored here, or if somebody just really wants a preferred piece of equipment even though it costs more. I mean, I don't know how else to say that. It might be helpful if consumables was defined to me, because consumables run out eventually. You know, how much? What do you mean by consumables? What is it? Is it something you have to keep feeding the machine? I mean, when I think of consumables, that's what I think of. And then, you know, how long of a supply do we have? Is it for a year? Because I'm sure there's some, depreciation value to this, and we're going to have to start buying other consumables eventually. And so if we had to buy consumables for the other 2 products, I mean, what would our real cost be over time?
Well,
$45,000 is $5,000 more than the next, the next bid, and $7,000 more than the cheapest one. So help me want to say yes to this request.
Well, in addition to what Sherry just mentioned, you said that Dionix and Shimadzu, did I say that correctly? They didn't have consumables included in their bid. Did Perkins have any consumables included in their bid? I know that we've got some consumables sitting, but were there any consumables in their bid to take their bid higher?
No. All of them, the consumables are like the lamps. When you have an atomic absorption machine, you have specialized lamps that have a certain wavelength that they shoot across the front of the the face of the instrument that detects whatever metal, whatever wavelength you're at. Well, we have bulbs, we'll call them bulbs, that's what they're called, for a Perkin-Elmer. They won't work in the Shimatsu, they won't work in the other one, and we'd have to buy those bulbs to put in those machines, the compatible machines bulbs. We have graphite tubes. When you use the furnace part of it, you actually put the sample in a graphite tube, and you burn it up in a graphite tube, and it measures the off gases. Again, none of them included these consumables. We have them for the Perkin-Elmers. The other ones we'd have to buy the graphite tubes for. We'd have to buy the, all these consumables that we have. It's just the product that we're going from a Perkin-Elmers to a Perkin-Elmers, so these tubes don't change size. The lamps don't change size. So you have all this equipment on hand that either is waiting to be used or has a slight use on it that can readily be used to lower the price, the total price of the piece of equipment.
Was there any discussion with the other two vendors about the opportunity for them to gain this bid if they would provide dollars for the consumables that you had on hand to move over to their product?
No, since none of them bid the consumables, we didn't talk to them about the consumables. We just bid it straight out, who's the lowest. And then after that, we got looking at what do we have on hand, what can be used, what would we waste if we just went away from it. And not, I don't know if waste is the right word, but what can we reuse? What can we, not throw away? And we have a certain amount of consumables. When you buy graphite tubes, you don't buy them one at a time. You buy them in,
I understand.
packs of 50 or whatever. So you have 45 of them left, which are, I think they're $99 a piece. So I mean, it's.
Jeff, with the current machine, is there enough life left on the current machine to use the consumables that you have in stock, so that when you expired them, you would go back and theoretically we'd go back and buy the Shimatsu?
Then we'd have to pay another $9,000 service contract fee. So it would completely wipe out everything. If you remember the last few years, this is a $70,000 piece of equipment almost, and we've paid $9,000 a year for a service contract, and we have utilized services to do more than that in work every year because of the utilization of these machines. So if you want to use that machine more, you need to buy another service contract, or you could find yourself with a completely dead machine that's worth nothing, that right now they're willing to give you $18,800 for. So that's an option, but it's not a good one.
Plus,
is what I'm saying.
The machine is becoming, it's obsolete. They're just not making the parts anymore. So, yeah, we can have the service contract, and if they have the parts, they'll replace them, but they're not making the replacement parts for that machine. So you could come up with a part that you need and they can't get because it's not made anymore. So they're just not supporting that machine anymore.
So that's the timing then as to why we're before you can.
Then there's other things we didn't even talk about is the machine, less training on this machine because they're used to the techniques. It's the same techniques. Everything else, the learning curve will be there right away so they can hit the ground running. We can get up to that proficiency on the other machines too, but it'd take longer.
If you bought the Shimatsu, would you also be purchasing a service agreement?
Eventually we would be, any of them we're going to be purchasing a service agreement eventually, because with this current one we had the whole machine. Basically the machine we have there now is not the one we bought. They replaced enough parts on that machine that's a new machine, a different machine. They might say it's the same machine, but every piece of that machine has been replaced due to the service contract. So I would assume, have that on our next ones too. It did pay for itself in the Perkin-Elmers.
But you don't purchase it the first year?
there's a year warranty on all of them, has a 1-year warranty. And then Perkin-Elmer gave us another year for free that the other two didn't give.
Right,
And then Perkin-Elmer actually gave a discount on the 3rd year.
We've been in front of council before for the service warranty for this specific machine, if you might recall, over the years. At least once or twice. The Atomic and...
Crystal clear.
Crystal clear, yeah. Along with the Muffin Mantra.
Yeah.
I appreciate the discussion on this piece of equipment, and I appreciate your answers, and I just hope that we're looking at these pieces of equipment, and we're looking at the opportunities to reduce our investment in this particular equipment moving forward. You know, are we able to buy a $37,000 piece of equipment and do the same work as we would be able to do with a $45,000 piece of equipment once we've, I mean, I know the equipment's worth more than that, but are we just staying with something because it's comfortable to us when we could actually be performing that work with another company? You say that this equipment is sunsetting? They're not making parts for it anymore?
For the model of the Perkin-Elmer we have currently, they are not making parts for that.
Mm-hmm.
They've made a new model, which is what was bid, the newest model. But as technology changes, the equipment changes too. So
I think the other piece, and clarify if I misspeak, but it sounds as if the warranty coverage is going to be longer with sticking with the current manufacturer versus switching and then coming back with what could be another $9,000 or $10,000 service agreement, a year down the road versus what would likely be a couple of years down the road before we need to extend the service agreement to keep the coverage on the machine going. Is that about right? Sort of?
Well, I think it's, we're going to get a service contract no matter what, and now we have 2 years instead of 1, and then you start paying. So for us it was you bid it, and then you look at what kind of cash are you going to outlay, and that was the for sure almost $10,000 in parts that we have in inventory that we've spent the money for already, along with the purchase of a machine that we're comfortable with, of a manufacturer that we've been using for a dozen years or more. And to us it was a fairly simple recommendation when you're looking at initial outlay, and then you have in what we're saying is a better machine moving forward.
And you could...
A proven machine.
Take the $7,500 off of that price.
What's that?
You could take $7,500 off of that price, when you're comparing.
For the 1 year?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I like that we're using up existing product that we have, because otherwise what would we do with it? Hopefully give it a second home somewhere, but I don't like to see the stuff go to landfills.
No, it shouldn't.
Okay, thanks for answering those questions.
You're welcome. Anytime.
I'll make a motion to approve the request to purchase the spectrophotometer from Perkin-Elmer Health Sciences for $45,775.58.
Support.
Sandy, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Meinhardt?
Yes.
Shippers?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Wolfile? Mayor Folkins?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. Good discussion and carrying right along. The final item under the report is another utilities purchase. This is for disinfection equipment in our wastewater system. 2 bids were received, one from Glasgow UV, DeVoe Cooper out of Michigan, falls under our local purchasing preference policy. Their bid was higher, but within the 1% allowance to the lowest bid, which they've agreed to meet without changing any of the specs. And so therefore the recommendation this evening is to go with DeVoe Cooper in an amount of $23,136. Funds are available for this project within the 2017 water and sewer.
I like the way that worked out.
Yep.
Motion to award the purchase of ultraviolet disinfection equipment to Dubois Cooper in the amount of $23,136.
Support.
Sandy, could we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Shippers,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Wolfile, Meinhardt,
Yes.
Mayor Folkins.
Yes. Motion carries. Okay. On to the adoption of ordinances and resolutions.
Yes, thank you again, Mayor and members of the City Council. Before you, we have a recommendation regarding a resolution that approves the final site plan for a multi-use commercial building, or building number 1 at Cadillac Junction. In front of your places is a copy of the actual site plan and the image. Some of this may look familiar from what we sent out last week as well. In short, this is a recommendation for approval that has been submitted to you for consideration from the city's planning commission. The developers are here in the audience this evening. Would like to draw your attention, essentially page 2 of the resolution lists a host of conditions regarding the approval. And I'll let you get there. If you don't mind, I'll read them into the record. Okay. Pursuant to Division 19 of the City Code of Ordinances, being sections 46-641 through 46-652, the City Council hereby approves the final site plan for the multi-use building number 1 in Cadillac Junction in the form attached as Exhibit A, including the berm and landscaping with the following conditions. A, the following information is subject to final approval by the city's utilities, public works, and engineering departments. And then A includes utility line information, Cherry D Boulevard Road construction plans, proposed site lighting and lighting fixtures, and drainage information. B, 1 or 2 deciduous trees must be added to the landscape strip on the north side of the building. C, all paved surfaces must be identified as to surface type, including parking lot, front terrace, and dumpster pad. D, construction details for the dumpster enclosure must be provided. E, the construction and landscaping of West Berm Landscape Plan and East Berm Landscape Plan as identified more fully in paragraph 2C of the Cadillac Junction Development Agreement shall be completed not later than June 1st, 2017. Further, developer agrees that in exchange for extending the date for construction and landscaping of the West Berm Landscape Plan and East Berm Landscaping Plan, the date by which residential property owners identified in Exhibit G to the Cadillac Junction Development Agreement may request coniferous trees be planted pursuant to paragraph 2CI shall also be extended to June 1st, 2017. F, the developer is responsible for the ongoing care and maintenance of the landscape strip, which is outside of the site boundary behind the multi-use building number 1. And then item 2, any and all resolutions that are in conflict with this resolution are hereby repealed, but only to the extent to give this resolution full force and effect. John Wallace, should you have questions specific to the site plan itself or conversation with the Planning Commission, can certainly provide you with information you only need to ask. Additionally, our developers that have submitted this to the Planning Commission and now subsequently to the City Council are here in person as well if you have any questions of them.
Marcus, on page 2 it says 9,000 square foot. That building is actually 9,472.
Okay.
Just kind of a technical.
Thank you.
Well, from my perspective, I appreciate the brevity in the presentation, but, you know, I've read about it in the newspaper. I haven't had any education related to this, so I would welcome some. I didn't get any of the information prior to the meeting.
Okay. It didn't come through? Should have come through.
For what?
Email.
Oh, I'm sorry. When?
Friday?
Friday.
That's okay.
If I got it, I
That's okay.
apologize. My
That's okay. I can say, and our mayor can attest, Planning Commission did spend quite a bit of time
I am sure they did.
going through their recommendation. John, if you wanted to maybe run the council through a general orientation of the building that's being recommended as far as the overall site. I'll be awesome. Perhaps orient them to the location based upon the maps that they have.
The proposed building is located kind of kitty corner from the building that's already been constructed at Cadillac Junction, which is the service station and convenience store, and it's located just on the opposite side of the street and just south of that site. Essentially what this development would be, as was mentioned, just over 9,000 square feet, divided into 4 building units. The building units on the north and south side would be restaurant units. Both would have drive-through. They're likely to not be the type of drive-through that are intensively used for drive-throughs, such as a McDonald's, but yet some kind of restaurant type that would still need to have some drive-through capability. All things considered, they're very close to meeting a queuing standard even for the more intense use, although that's not what is being planned. The internal units, the 2 units, would be used for most likely retail units or potentially office units, but that's the intent of the use. I've reviewed all the potential uses and feel confident, as does the developer, that the parking count does meet what would be required of those types of uses. At the Planning Commission, we asked for some of the spaces to be converted from 9-foot widths to 9.5. They went over and above what we asked for. We asked for the 1 complete bay. They converted half the parking into the larger parking stalls, which I think will serve the property well. The Planning Commission asked for the public sidewalk system to be connected to the private plaza in front of the stores. They've made that connection. They've also added a bicycle rack for the development. You can see as a condition, because I know the council was concerned about reviewing or having input and having staff make sure that the fixtures were dark sky fixtures. We're requiring detailed information on that still be submitted as a condition of this approval so that we can ensure that the right fixture types are chosen for the development. And also we'll be reviewing not only the fixtures for the site but for the fixtures on the road, in that this one of the conditions is that the road construction plans be submitted as well. You'll see in your plan set that you have now a lot of the utility information. The reason we aren't saying as presented on the utility side is we did have a meeting a week or so ago in which we've made some minor tweaks to the systems. They're going to largely look like they do now, but they're going to slide a little bit one way or the other, and we just wanted to get the final versions that everyone's had a chance to review and sign off on before we gave the final go-ahead on the infrastructure piece. But that shouldn't impact their moving forward on the start of construction on the building. And we have worked through with the department heads that they can resolve all the issues that we had at our meeting, so I don't anticipate a problem with that. So to me, it looks like it's in a very good place to approve, and if anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to respond to the questions.
And I think it would be helpful that when we bring it forward to the council, that we're able to look at it up on the screen. Like in this instance, you know, we can see what it looks like, and we can see the drawings, but not for me, because I sit on the planning commission, so I get to see the whole thing. But for everyone else, and for everybody that's here, for them to be able to look at it and see where it is in relationship to what's already there.
Okay.
Am I saying that correctly? Mm-hmm. Would that be helpful? I think it would be helpful.
Okay.
And then at the same time, folks at home get to see that too.
And then when you talk about the detail, I think that, you know, visually it just makes more sense. So, because we cover that so well at the Planning Commission, and then when we get it here, the council is being asked to approve based on that recommendation from the Planning Commission, which is very good, but, you know, we're excited to see it here too and, you know, figure out what's coming next.
Okay. Well, we'll spend more time on the graphic end of things on the future cases.
And hopefully there'll be more.
That's the hope.
Yeah. Can you, if you wouldn't mind, given the current siting of the open business that's there now, could you advise council sort of which direction the new proposed building will be?
Well, it's immediately south of that site and immediately east on the other side of the road. That would be the start of the development parcel. I think on one of the plan sheets that has a site identification map, maybe on page 2, if I'm not mistaken, on the utility pieces, that has an inset map showing where the development site is.
Do we have any more of an idea of what's going in out there yet? Somebody asked the question.
Everybody's asking
Somebody
the
is
question.
not telling.
So, would it be helpful, or would you like John to step up and show you on this?
No,
map?
I actually saw it on one of these,
Okay, good.
and that was helpful, right off to the side where it
Okay,
sits.
good.
It's the only way I could figure it out. So I can't tell what's up or down on
I
there.
just want to make sure you...
Yeah, I appreciate you going over that, John.
Every day we get questions.
I had one just before the meeting from 7 to 4.
What's going in there? What's going in? What's he building in there? What's he building
So,
in there?
thank you, John.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
So we need to have a motion, correct? I will make a motion to adopt the resolution approving final site plan for multi-use building number 1 at Cadillac Junction.
Support.
I just want to say I'm so thankful we've got a really good planning commission.
Yeah, boy, me too. You're going to love it.
That was why I wanted
You
this
will. You're
development
going to
in the
love being
city
on the
of
planning
Cadillac.
commission.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Sandy, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Spelman,
Yes.
Wolfile, Meinhardt,
Yes.
Shippers,
Yes.
Mayor Folkins.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
So does that mean you're going to start building this fall?
What's that?
Are you going to start building now this fall?
Well, we were up until about 3 days ago.
Right? Right?
It's going to warm up.
Yeah, well, hopefully. We'll see how it goes. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, so then in our package this evening, we do have minutes and reports of some boards and commissions that work for us. We have the Historic District Commission, Planning Commission, the Downtown Development Authority, Zoning Board of Appeals, and the Dog Park Advisory Committee. Lots of good things going on in those groups. At this time, we'll open the floor for public comments again. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. And is there anything that anyone would like to share this evening?
I would just like to make a brief mention that city offices in observance of Thanksgiving are closed this Thursday, the 24th, for Thanksgiving, and we are also closed on Friday the 25th as well. Certainly like to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you.
Thank you.
Have we heard anything, any updates from the county? I know they've been busy doing other things, but they had been talking about maybe selling the wax or putting that out there for bids. Is there any update on that we've heard?
The city was approached by the company that currently has an arrangement with the county for managing the operations of the wax with respect to seeing if perhaps the city would like to get involved in some way and in some form in the future regarding that property. The specifics are still very vague as to what our role and involvement would be. At the same time that the city was approached, I'm aware that that same company was also trying to see if they could form, and I'm probably using the wrong word here, but almost like a partnership or a consortium with another local agency to see what their level of use might be, and then perhaps letting the city know to what degree a partnership could be made. And so right now there's really nothing yet that's evolved or has boiled up to a point where there's good data for me to share with the board that could help with making a decision. I have an idea as far as what their profit and loss has been since they've been working on the site, but until there's really a strong partnership with perhaps another agency or agencies, there really isn't a whole heck of a lot for us to look at currently. That being said, we have not been directly questioned by the county as to whether or not we want to do anything with it. I'm sure that the county would be very excited if we were to try to swoop in. And I'm not saying that perhaps there isn't a role for us in the future, but right now we just not.
I guess from my perspective, I was just looking at it more for the property because it's tangential to the city.
It is. It's about 6 or 7 acres right on the corner. They had been for years and years a customer of our utilities department. I think rather recently they've been now cut off from us accordingly because there's infrastructure by the township.
Which, I don't want my comment to be heard or construed as, I don't care about the wax either.
No, of course not.
But something else to think about is the property on which it sits. There's some value in that as well.
Okay. Nothing new. Just happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Everybody have a safe holiday and drive good, careful.
Carefully.
Absolutely.
Don't talk politics at dinner.
Yeah. Put those signs up, no politics. No politics at the door.
Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.